Hi, my name is Sarita Grimaldis and I will be talking about the quote, "I fear 3 newspapers more than 100,000 bayonets." Now, firstly, this quote was made by Napoleon, and what I think he meant was that he was more fearful of the fact that they were, perhaps the journalists of these 3 newspapers were going to publish something about him. So he was more fearful of that than of facing a whole army. And what I would think was that he was fearful of that because if you think about it, whether we are celebrities or not, things could be published about us that we don't like and we don't necessarily want anyone to know, whether it's good or bad. So I think that was one of his greatest fears. And also, just information being splashed over a newspaper, just that fact can have repercussions, could have consequences and bring about a despair in the person's life. So it could actually be very damaging. So I partially agree and partially disagree on the quote. I think there are good things and there are bad things about newspapers. I think that it's true that people can be fearful of a newspaper publishing a certain thing about them, simply because newspapers are read all over the world. And just the fact that many people around the world will know about my situation or some information about me is absolutely terrifying, I think. And you could be followed, you could be persecuted, anything could happen as well. Okay, so that's one reason why I think that people can be fearful of newspapers. The second reason I think it's people will be fearful because of what could be published. So, because what's being published could be inconsequential and simply untrue. So that would be very fearful. Like in my case, I would feel totally helpless if newspapers around the world or even newspapers in my town would know something personal about my life, and also maybe putting another story, totally telling another story that's not really true. That would be simply devastating. And other reasons for disagreeing would be that, well, we've got to be with an open mind, I think. It's important to know that not every media source and not every newspaper will simply publish things that are untrue or confidential. Now, if they are confidential, I think that they may have a good reason why. For example, I think that letting the community know about decisions that perhaps the government is making, or simply just corruption, I think is an important focus from being done by a newspaper. I think it's very important for people to know, for citizens, us as citizens, to know what's going on in the world as well, the wars and everything that's happening now. I think that it's good that we have media sources for that information. So yeah, that is my point of view on this quote. And thank you very much, and good night.